Well, the St. Louis Cardinals made some pretty important roster decisions this week to protect certain prospects from the Rule 5 draft, leave others up for the potential to be selected in that. And there's one name in particular that a lot of people aren't happy about that we'll talk about today. So we want to talk about today, did the Cardinals make the right decisions? Are there any guys that they have available or left available that could be taken in the Rule 5 draft? Maybe there's some targets out there we can get into today, and even a little bit of discussion on the state of the Cardinal system, because there are some really interesting names that are added to the 40-man roster from their prospect list. And also, we do have the non-tender deadline coming tomorrow, so there are some potential names you could see removed from the 40-man roster. We'll talk about all this and more on this episode of Dealing the Cards. Hey, welcome back into Deal on the Cards. Josh and Andrew here. Sandy will join us here shortly. St. Louis Cardinals podcast that goes live twice a week over here on the YouTube channel. I think we've got a Birds on the Farm episode coming next week, so to digest some of this stuff and the system as a whole and more. So be excited about that. Obviously, always want to get Kareem's insight on that, and he's going to have a really special guest, it sounds like, on for that. So excited for them to dive into that as well, but we're going to react to the recent news today. Again, if you're listening on audio, we'd love if you rated the show. It helps out a ton. If you're listening on YouTube right now, like many of our listeners aren't subscribed or new listeners every time. And so if you want more Cardinals content, like and subscribe, helps channel a ton. We love engaging with you in the chat. So I'm going to try and highlight chats as we go through as well. So if you're with us live, that's awesome. If you're listening later, comment below. But today we're going to talk about the Rule 5 draft, protections with that. Some of you listening are probably like, what on earth you're talking about? Because like some of us always assume like, oh, everyone knows these things. But this is one of the more niche things within baseball, right? So I won't get into all the details today, but I can do it a little bit. But in order to make it so that organizations can't totally manipulate holding on and hoarding a bunch of minor league talent, they do have, MLB has this thing called the Rule 5 draft that once a player is eligible, they must be added to the Major League 40-man, or Major League, the organization's 40-man roster in order to be protected from being claimed by another organization through the Rule 5 draft or selected. If a player is selected in the Rule 5 draft, they must remain on the other organization's Major League roster for the entire season. And if they do, then that team gets to keep that player moving forward. If, for example, and that happened with the Cardinals with Ryan Fernandez a few years ago. If, for example, the Cardinals had selected a Ryan Fernandez and then in July they decided they didn't want him on the roster anymore, you can't option him to AAA. So if you try to option him to AAA, you give him up for grabs for the team that you selected him from, in that case, the Boston Red Sox, to bring them back and then get him back scot-free, bring him back in the minor leagues, all good and well. So the Rule 5 draft is a really interesting way to potentially add some potential talent to your organization moving forward. And the Cardinals decided to protect 4 particular names this week, but they also protected some names at the end of the season and a few weeks ago in the case of Brian Torres. So the 4 big names that were just protected were Cooper Hjerpe, Brycen Mautz, who was just named the minor league pitcher of the year for the Cardinals, Leonardo Bernal, and outfielder Joshua Baez. Now, during the season, toward the end, the Cardinals added catcher Jimmy Crooks, who needed to be protected, to their 40-man roster and Major League roster, so he was protected. Infielder Cesar Prieto. And then recently, at the beginning of the offseason, they added utility man Brian Torres to the 40-man roster, protect him from it. So there are some names that were left off that we'll get to in a moment. But Andrew, I just kind of bounce these 4 names in particular. And I guess let's throw Brian Torres into it because that was interesting recently as well. Are these the 5 names, Hjerpe, Mautz, Bernal, Baez, and Torres, you expected? If not, we'll get into those names later. But do you feel pretty good about the names they chose? And is there one in particular that you want to jump into about why you're intrigued by this player moving forward?
Yeah, I think for the most part, like you look at Mautz, he was just named the organizational pitcher of the year in the minor leagues. And then like Josh Baez, who had a great season, really bounced back in a big way. And then, Leonardo Bernal is a fringe top 100 prospect, I think, in all of baseball. I think some lists have him, in like the 80s or 90s. So those 3 are guys that, I would expect the Cardinals to protect. And then Hjerpe was, I think, the guy that I was probably the most hesitant that they would protect. We've talked to him on Birds on the Farm. Sandy and Kareem did an interview with that, which maybe I'll link after we're live here. But, he's had some big injury concerns. And I think, there was some concern about maybe he wouldn't necessarily make the cut for the 40-man roster. And I'm glad that they did, like he's a left-handed pitcher with a weird slot, really high upside, at least in the bullpen. Like, that's not a guy you want to let go. And I think some team probably out there would have stashed him on the IL until he was ready to come back from his injury, and then use him as that left-handed fireman out of the bullpen. And I'm glad that the Cardinals didn't let him get away, because he has really great starter potential as well if he can stay healthy. I think he's a guy that you can look to give starts to later on, probably. Other than Quinn Matthews and Liam Doyle, probably the most intriguing starting name out there in terms of upside. I would say that I'm glad that they kept him and held on to him, and at the very least, he ends up being a nice bullpen piece for you if he can't stay healthy. But either way, a guy that you want to have in the organization. We talked to him on Birds on the Farm, as I just said. He's a great guy, great personality to have there. And then there's a couple names that were left off. I think we can talk about some of those. I think some fans are really upset about one of them for some reason. Which
we'll get into that in a minute, especially if Sandy ends up popping in by that time, because Sandy had to take about it too. But let's kind of go into let's just dive into the guys they did add first. So I'm with you in Cooper Hjerpe being the name that I was the least confident they were going to do, but I was full stop. Cooper Hjerpe has to be on their 40-man roster. I would have been really disappointed if they left him up for grabs, and I think he would have been one of the first names off the board, in my opinion, from another organization to take. When you look at Cooper Hjerpe, I mean, this dude, since he's been drafted, well, here's the frustrating part. He's only pitched in 25 games since he's been drafted, so not ideal. 93, and he was drafted in 2022's first-round pick. But 3.38 ERA, 127 strikeouts, and 93 and a third innings of work at Double-A, between Double-A and High A. In 2024, he had a 3.27 ERA, 76 strikeouts, and 52 and a third innings. Has had a sub 200 batting average against for his career. Filthy stuff. Again, he's a guy that he's not going to throw high velocity. He's not upper 90s, but that release point and that fastball and his off-speed stuff makes him really deceptive. He's a guy that I really think can be a dynamic starter moving forward if he can stay healthy. And whether or not he does is a question mark, but I don't think you give up on a talent like that, because the floor to me is a guy that could be a very high impact bullpen arm. And especially in today's game, when left-handed bats are becoming more and more prominent and they are essential to big lineups, having a guy like Hjerpe, whether he's in your rotation, which the effectiveness of left-handed starters has been on the rise in recent years, or he's a filthy bullpen arm for you. I love the idea of having Cooper Hjerpe around. Like, you've got John. I literally was just about to say the exact same thing. You have too much invested in Hjerpe not to give him a chance, because this isn't Zach Thompson, who even got a chance, right? Like, this is a guy with real potential, in my opinion, to be a dynamic arm. And so if they left him up for grabs, that would have been really frustrating. It definitely makes their 40-man roster a little bit weirder to have to move around. And so that I was about to, with Redbird Farmhands here, is that part of the reason that he's even more intriguing for a organization to take on. And I was actually just listening to Baseball America a little bit ago when they're talking about the Rule 5 guys. Organizations love to target guys who are actually hurt, because then they get some time where they can kind of milk it a little bit, let them stay on the injured list, come up with a game plan how they're going to keep them healthy, keep them in the use them in the bullpen, even work with them in the repertoire a little bit. And you're almost like buying extra time. And that's what they would have had with Cooper Hjerpe, plus potentially a long rehab assignment before you had to put him in the major leagues. And then Hjerpe specifically is a guy that, like, to organization, I'm sure they would love to claim him, because you go like, okay, we'll throw him in the bullpen in his comeback year, and then hopefully keep him, and we can option him to AAA and let him stretch out as a starter, or maybe he makes the major league rosters or a starter, and then you've got a potential dynamic starter for the future. Hjerpe would have been all over teams' radar. So glad the Cardinals didn't leave him up for grabs. Brian Torres, interesting, but like, I think we've seen in the chat, like, I don't expect a high ceiling out of him, but he's been a guy Baseball America named last year that could have been picked, because I think he's a guy that brings utility, defense, could hit left-handed pitching or something, like, so like, he could have been a guy claimed for a bench spot. Joshua Baez to me is the big name, though, right? Like, most Baseball America is going to have him as a top 100 prospect. I'm sure MLB.com will. TJ Stash just had him as a top 50 prospect in all of baseball, and I like his stuff. Baez just had an incredible year, slashing 287, 384, 500, 20 home runs, and 54 stolen bases between high and Double-A. His swing and miss rate was cut down significantly this past year. He struck out 144 times in 277 at bats last year. And it was down to 103 strikeouts and 418 at bats this year. So like he made a significant jump in his profile to be a guy now that could be a dynamic corner outfield bat who could play good defense and steal a lot of bases. Like he reminds me, I'm not saying he's that, but like it feels very Tyler O'Neill like to me in the good ways, which you like hope the production wise. Now, hope he stays healthy, is more consistent. Again, I'm not saying he's gonna be a top 10 MVP guy, but like we're talking about a system that lacks power. Joshua Baez has it. Leonardo Bernal, probably the second most intriguing, or him and Hjerpe are second most intriguing to me. All-around catcher, just won the minor league Gold Glove. He's super young, 21 to AA level, and still put up pretty good stats with a 247, 332, 394 slash line, 13 home runs, 70 RBIs, and about 400 plate appearances. Switch hitter, a lot of room for development within that too. And then Brycen Mautz, who we just got a question in the chat about him. I think I don't know what Redbird. Oh yeah, it looks like Farmhands was talking about. I agree with this. Like, I'd say more back in the rotation or a reliever, but maybe mid at a high like a high end outcome for him. He was kind of rocky his time with St. Louis up until this past season. His solid debut season 2023 was pretty bad in 2024. Was a second round pick in 2022, but then this year, again, a minor league pitcher of the year for the Cardinals. 2.98 ERA and 25 starts for the AA affiliate. Springfield struck out 134 batters and 114.2 innings of work. Like that pitcher a lot too. I'm expecting him probably to be in Memphis this next year, and I don't know if he'll make it to St. Louis next year. I wouldn't be surprised, but again, upper levels, minor league depth could be an interesting arm long term. So I think they protected the right guys. I really have no complaints at all. It's the exact four that I said the morning of. I expect them and hope they protect, with Hjerpe being the one that I was like, we'll see how this new front office handles it, but I would hope they would. But yeah, I mean, I want to just touch real quickly on Baez. Like, how intrigued are you by him as a prospect now? Because for the first however many years in the system, it's been pretty disappointing. A lot of outlets actually didn't even have him as a top 30 prospect in the Cardinals system entering the year because of how bad it's been. And man, he's turned it around. And it's just interesting that Baseball America, I think Jeff Ponce put this in a chat where he was like, someone asked if he's kind of like Jordan Walker. And he's like, yeah, I mean, I think he might be able to be what Jordan Walker we hoped he would be. Maybe not the exact heights where he was a top 3 prospect in the game. But like even what Jake just put in here in the chat, who was just on us the last podcast, only 2 MILB players this last year with 20 plus home runs, 50 stolen bases were Connor Griffin, Joshua Baez. And Connor Griffin is the top prospect in all of baseball unanimously right now. So we're talking about high upside guy. Are you excited about like the upside that Baez presents in the Cardinal system right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely intriguing. I've had my fair share of being disappointed by Cardinals outfield prospects, so I'm not necessarily, at the point where I'm like, wow, this guy's the next biggest thing. He can't miss. Like, obviously, we've seen that he can miss. He's had his struggles in the minor leagues, but yeah, it's a good point in the chat that Baez had what Walker and Carlson never had, which is, struggling in the minor leagues. Like Walker was rushed up, Carlson was rushed up, mostly due to necessity. But like Baez has had chances to really develop and hone his skills in the minors, and I'm excited to see what he does next year. But yeah, I definitely think he could become one of those, middle of the order bats that you really hope the Cardinals could develop at one point. I really think that, he could turn into, like, the Cardinals have turned nothing into something many times. Like Brendan Donovan wasn't a highly touted prospect. Lars Nootbaar wasn't a highly touted prospect. But I definitely think that, if they can finally do that with a guy like Baez, as Sandy's hopping into the chat here, move that around real quick. But yeah, I do think that the upside is there. I'm not necessarily going to be as excited about it as I would have been if Walker and Carlson and O'Neill and some of these guys had panned out. But with the new leadership in the front office, I think definitely could be one of the better players on the Cardinals, and really provide that bat that we've been looking for. Obviously JJ's there. We're expecting that to happen, but I think the floor is also definitely there. We've seen the floor; it's been bad. But if you ask me right now if I had to bet on Jordan Walker or Joshua Baez, it'd probably be Joshua Baez, unfortunately. But maybe we'll have that discussion later.
We'll see. I think I agree with Redbird Farmhands on this, though. Most potential of any prospect in the system. Now, the high ceiling doesn't mean you're the best prospect, nor does it mean you're going to hit it, nor does it mean you like I would take JJ Weatherholt in a heartbeat over him. Rynell and Josh probably a push, but I'd probably take Rynell. And then Liam Doyle, probably taking Liam Doyle, but you could convince me of Josh Baez right now easily. Honestly, maybe I would take Baez because the upside there. Not that Doyle doesn't have that. Sadie, we're focusing on the guys they did add right now. We're gonna get into the big name in a second because
the small name.
The small name has been made.
That big a name?
Well, no. Yeah, there you go. But yeah, so just as you look at Joshua Baez, Cooper Hjerpe, Brycen Mautz, and Leonardo Bernal being added, plus I mean Crooks and Prieto were added in the regular season, and part of that was protect him for the 40-man or from the Rule 5 draft as well, and Brian Torres. Any quarrels with anyone they did add? And then do you have any quick thoughts on Baez, Hjerpe? I mean, we actually if you want to save your thoughts to the prospect stuff, because I think we're going to round out our conversation tonight talking about the state of the system. But just do you have any question marks about the guys they did add, or do you feel like they made the right decisions?
No, I really like the guys they protected. I think the Cardinals are working with the timeline that they've got, and I think they're doing a pretty good job. It's clear that when you protect a guy like Baez, when you protect a guy like Hjerpe especially, you know, he's going to be recovering for at least a huge portion of next year, but that's a really high ceiling pitcher. He's got that funky delivery. He's got real velocity now. Like that's a guy that once he's fully healthy, you love the upside. I really like what they did. I think they made the right moves. I think they protected their high ceiling guys that fit their timeline. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think the Cardinals know that they're not going to be super competitive in a lot of ways next year, but I think they look at 2028 in particular, and they see that as a time they can be a real contender. And so these guys fit that timeline really well for the most part. Also, they did protect Mautz, who might not have the same ceiling as a Hjerpe, but I think has a higher floor. He's been a lot healthier, and he's coming off a great season. So that makes a lot of sense too. He'll do a really nice job running out your pitching depth next year and could compete for a rotation spot by the end of the season. So I really like their decisions. I think they pretty much down the line did the right things.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of critiques about how the Cardinals have handled their 40-man roster in a lot of ways over the past few years. And so this is one example of maybe it's going better now, and we'll see how Chaim Bloom manages to move forward. But before we jump into who they didn't add, I want to thank the presenting sponsor of the Deal on the Cards podcast, and that is 314 Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're located at 9640 All Boulevard and all that. Open 10 to 5 Monday through Friday, 10 to 4 on Saturdays and Sundays. They buy, sell, and trade all sports cards and Pokemon cards. They have new selections of packs, boxes, and single cards of local players and stars from around the league. Make sure you go check out 314. We know many of you shop there already. So if you're in there, make sure you let them know that you heard about them from Deal on the Cards, or that you're a frequent customer from Deal on the Cards. Andrew's a frequent customer over there and copped one of the weirdest cards.
I don't have it with me right now.
Where is it?
It's at, I'm not at home right now. I'm at school, but
wow, you want to safeguard it so much you keep it in St. Louis. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I just didn't have enough space to take it back.
Have you shown it on a podcast?
I haven't. I showed it on Twitter. I have Eric Fetty's Superfractor rookie card. It's at home somewhere.
Having that is just so crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I was the first one on the trade Fetty train. I said
you were the conductor of that
absolutely terrible, like last year around this time, and you guys laughed at me.
It didn't make sense at the time.
Yeah, well,
the trade did, but how bad he would be.
Yeah.
I was even too generous. I said fringe top 25 prospect in someone's system. The Cardinals got cash.
I mean, how much cash did they even get too? Not a lot.
Oh man. Well, anyways, go check out 314. That are presenting sponsor Deal on the Cards. We'll also tell you about a really awesome new partnership we have here in a few minutes. So, all right, guys, Blaze Jordan.
I would have taken him for Eric Fetty. Like that's who I would have traded him for at the deadline. But
Okay. Well, I'm laughing not because I mean, like Blaze Jordan. I hope he has a super successful career. There's nothing against him. And not all of Cardinals Twitter was fired up about this, but there definitely were people that were like acting like Chaim Bloom is an idiot for not doing this. Andrew, I know you feel pretty strongly about this one. Or you have tell me what you thought about the whole pushback about Blaze Jordan not being added.
I just think Cardinals fans have this weird blind spot with players named Jordan, and I think it's really odd. Like I don't get it. I honestly like Blaze Jordan. Yeah, he's got some intriguing attributes, But at the end of the day, like, he just hasn't really shown much at the minor league level to really be excited about. Like, you look at his peripherals with AAA, with Boston's AAA team. Like, it was fine. It wasn't anything really great. And then you look at his numbers in Memphis, and it's just like it's just not good, right? Like, he hit 198 with a 608 OPS in 41 games. It's a pretty big sample, right? It just wasn't great for Blaze Jordan in Memphis this year. And I just, like, yeah, you can protect him if you want. Like, there's guys on the 40-man that, you know, I could do without. Like, Nick Rackett is on there. Pozo, I don't really know what he's still doing on there. He's probably a non-tender candidate. Is the deadline like tomorrow, I think, for that. So, you know, you can shed some guys there. I feel like Jose Fermin showed at least a little bit at the end of the season where it was like he was a clear guy to DFA, but he just played so well that I was like, all right, maybe you can keep him. You can convince me. You know, like Koperniak is a guy. But, do we think the Red Sox are just dumb? Like, I don't know. Like, why would a team give up a meaningfully good prospect for 2 months of Steven Matz? And I don't even think the Cardinals ate any money on that. I think they had to pay down the full, like, whatever it was, like, prorated. I think it was like $12 million for Steven Matz. Like, no, I don't really think that made a lot of sense. Like, he was a high-profile prospect at one point, right? Like,
yeah, before the draft.
Like, before the draft, he was a high-profile.
He was like an otherworldly prospect when he was like 14.
But he ended up being a third-round pick in 2020, which was a weird draft, and was a Hein Bloom pick. But
there are things to like about him. I think Blaze Jordan is one of the most polarizing prospects in baseball right now.
I don't time out.
Think so.
I think he's not. I don't actually think he is.
Okay,
I think there's like two people out there who are like he's a top 50 prospect, but most most outlets are like he's maybe a top 20 prospect in the system.
There are some semi-reputable people though that like really like Blaze Jordan.
I mean, like,
it surprises me every time I see it.
But I don't think that's necessarily polarizing. I think that's a couple people have a hot take. But then there's Cardinal fans who see it, and no other organization, I don't feel like there's Pirate fans out there who are like, yeah, Blaze Jordan is like a top 50 prospect in all of baseball.
There's some analytical models that people have that say like, oh, Blaze Jordan could be good. I don't agree.
He could be. I'm not even trying to say
anyone can be good. I just don't think it's likely, right? Like, Adolis Garcia was like, he's been good, but like all 30 teams decided they didn't want him.
So, yeah. One of the things I think is important with this, Sandy, I told this to Andrew up the start of the podcast, and I'm guessing you haven't seen Twitter yet. So how many first base, third base types do you think have been drafted in the Rule 5? Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're listening, so 4 total first baseman, third baseman types have been drafted in the Rule 5 draft for the last 10 drafts. 4. 2 of them were returned to the organization that drafted them that same year, which was last year or 2 years ago. Deviacion de Los Santos from Cleveland, Cleveland selected him, and then Mike Ford, who was returned to the Yankees and posted a 94 WRC plus in 252 games in his career. Ryan Noda was one of the guys that stuck and was a career 100 WRC plus guy in 187 games, which was like, I mean, as a first baseman, that's not, I mean, a league average of WRC plus isn't good enough. And then Chi-Man Choi, 113 WRC plus in 525 games. So he was the one success story, like real success story, but that was 10 years ago. And so again, I'm not here because I don't want to I'm not here to bash on Blaze Jordan. And I'm not even here to say like if the Cardinals did it, it would have been some huge mistake. I just am not shocked at all he wasn't added. I would be shocked if someone claimed him because that's not how people use the Rule 5 draft most of the time. It's get like relievers or like a defensively versatile bench piece that could stick on the bottom of your roster, not a guy who could be your Luke Voigt. We were talking about the front end.
Yeah, because it's like I can't see Blaze Jordan sticking on someone's 26-man roster all year. First base, third base types, it makes sense not to take them because normally when guys have the attributes to stick at first or third, they're either unbelievable defensively at third, or they have a real power bat. And power bats aren't just left unprotected. Like guys with the ability to hit 20, 25 homers a year are not unprotected when they don't have other serious problems with their swings. I can't see him getting selected by somebody. I think it'd be a surprise to me. There are definitely people out there that love him. Like, I don't know if you follow like Thomas Nestico. I like a lot of his prospect analysis on Twitter. He's a huge Blaze Jordan fan. I think it's a surprise. I don't get it. But it seems to me like he'd be shocked if nobody picked up Blaze Jordan. But I don't think most of the industry values him that way. I think it's telling that the Cardinals were able to get him for 2 months of Steven Matz. I'd be very surprised if someone selects him.
I completely agree with Edward Farmhands here. Brian Torres was much more likely to be selected than Blaze Jordan was, and part of that's just because of the profile. 10 and 20 years ago, more like 25 years ago now, like organizations would pick up a guy from Class A who threw 100 miles an hour, or pick up some really intriguing guys who've never even been close to the major leagues and try it out, and most of the time wouldn't work out. Places have gotten really smart about it, where pretty much the guys you're going to get selected, everyone already knows who's going to be who's selected. And it's those power relievers. It's guys that or maybe injured, and you have a little bit of time to work with on it. It's not Blaze Jordan. Again, I hope he's good.
To protect them. Like, the Cardinals could have protected Blaze Jordan if they wanted,
Yeah. So again, could they also, I've seen the argument in the chat, and it's coming tomorrow night. The deadline to non-tender players is coming up, or to tender a contract at the very least before they can hit free agency, or minor league free agency is coming up. There are players in the Cardinals 40-man roster right now. You could definitely make the argument for that they could have non-tender to make room, but the Cardinals also need to have room on their 40-man roster to add prospects they could acquire in trades or sign free agents. And so adding Blaze Jordan, you may have had to DFA him, and then you're literally putting him up for every organization in baseball to claim him, when in the Rule 5 draft, it's much harder to take a guy like that because he's the roster them the full year. But like, there is Nick Raquette right now who easily could be left off. I think Roycroft will survive the offseason, but I mean, that could happen. But I'm guessing like him, John Keane, I think they could non-tender in arbitration, but Derek Gould the other day made it sound like they're not planning on not offering or tendering a contract to any, or going to arbitration with any of the guys that are arbitration eligible. So Sandy, you get another year of John King potentially, but they could always cut him later. Yoel Pozo, I think they might try to pull off a trade for him, or Crooks, or even Bernal or Pages, but I'm guessing one of those catchers doesn't make it through the offseason. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if Prieto doesn't make it through the offseason. Kaepernick, I definitely see him losing his spot, but that's like 3 or 4 guys. And sure, they're going to trade away Arenado and Gray, and they may trade JoJo or Donovan, but they're going to want that flexibility this offseason. And I don't see how adding Blaze Jordan would have been a good idea for that. But any other thoughts on Blaze Jordan, or like Pete Hansen, or any of these other guys that some people have claimed, or is it you're kind of like, we're done with this conversation?
There's no way someone's picking up Pete Hansen, right?
Well, John Denton thought maybe,
not that Pete Hansen couldn't be good someday. Like, he could absolutely be a usable 5, but nobody, he's not ready right now. He hasn't even pitched at AAA. There's no way somebody's going to put Pete Hansen on their roster for a whole season, especially because I just don't think he has like the power arm upside that you're looking for like, because there definitely have been cases where you have starter profile guys who are available, and teams are like, well, I would take the risk to stick you in my bullpen for a year if you've got that, like, if you've got like the right fastball slider combo or something, and then I can remake you into a starter later on. Like, that happens. That's totally a possibility. But Pete Hansen doesn't have that profile. I just can't see that happening.
Yeah. Well, let's have a wider conversation here in a moment about the state of the Cardinals farm system, because I think it's a really interesting conversation. I know Kareem will get more onto it with you, Sandy, as well, on Birds of the Farm here soon. But we do want to thank our new sponsor of the podcast, and that is True North Gloves. They're the official headband of Brendan Donovan. They also have a cool partnership with Vinny Pasquantino. They sell headbands, batting gloves, golf gloves, pickleball gloves, all different kinds of awesome products. I lost my headband. I'm so mad, but my new one comes in tomorrow. And so I will rock it for the podcast moving forward in this segment. So be ready. But I love, like, seriously, I don't, like, even if you don't play sports right now, like, I run and like my hair's long and it gets annoying in my hair. Or like, even if you don't like have long hair like me, like sweat on your forehead and stuff like that, like, it's nice to have a headband on, not gonna lie. And they're pretty sweet. There's a Brendan Donovan series on there, USA themed, some like fun, just like random items or just cool colors. They do a lot of great stuff on there. If you go to truenorthgloves.com, you can save 25% with this code that they gave us, and that's TrueNorth25. Again, they're the official headband of Brendan Donovan. So all the headbands you see him wearing in games, you can purchase those, purchase so many different other things as well, including batting gloves, golf gloves if you're a golfer like me. Pickleball gloves, didn't know that was a thing, but apparently people wear pickleball gloves, so you can get those as well. True North is awesome. Make sure you tag them on Instagram if you buy their products at True North Gloves on Instagram. Again, truenorthgloves.com. Get your headbands there, and you'll see me next podcast episode rocking mine. So,
Josh, will you be running a turkey trot this week?
Ooh, I will not, but I will be. We do haven't been in a few years, but for like a decade plus, we did a turkey bowl every year. So actually, I'll wear my Brendan Donovan headband for that, and I'll tag it on Instagram. I'll do it.
Family this break, pull up, get some True North gloves.
It's actually a bunch of friends. I mean, I don't know who'll be there this year because a lot of people moved away and stuff. And like I'm still around the area I grew up in, but it's with a lot of like guys from my church or like people I grew up with, and so it's like the most eclectic group of people ever. But I haven't gotten to play the last few years because I've been traveling. So we'll see. It'll be fun, but. Anyway, so I'll rock the headband and I'll rock it for Sunday's pod. But so yeah, stay the Cardinals farm system right now. Baseball America just did their re-rankings pretty recently. The Cardinals top prospects in their farm system. We'll see a bunch of those coming out across the league. TJ, who you referenced earlier over on Twitter, just did his top 100 recently and had Baez in like the top 50. I think Rodriguez is top 25. Weatherholt was like really third or fourth overall. Yeah. And then Doyle's in the 60s. Baseball America has Weatherholt as their top, Doyle second, Reinell third, Baez fourth, Quinn Matthews 5, Tanner Franklin making it up to 6th, which I think that's fun. I want to talk about that. Eshawn Henderson, Jimmy Crooks, Bernal, and Padilla. There's some interesting DSL guys that the Cardinals have beyond those guys. I'm blanking his name right now.
Sebastian Dos Santos.
Yes, so Dos Santos there this year. There's that 16-year-old they just signed as well.
There's Neil Ortiz too, who had a huge breakout year for the Cardinals.
Yes, and then obviously this guy's far from even really being a prospect yet, but he is in the system where I'm finding his name right now. It is Emmanuel Luna, who they're calling the Dominican Aaron Judge. Take that with a massive grain of salt. But the Cardinals spent $2.3 million on a signing bonus. They went high range this year, which they've been doing a lot of the fall. Which again, if you sprinkle on a lot of small guys, you could find that Reinell Rodriguez or guys like that around. But again, you can also strike gold if you go on the top of the market. I mean, I'd even mention Tink Hence at the moment, who get very weird spot that he's in now. Taco Roby, like there's Cooper names Murphy. Now.
When Cooper Murphy gets healthy, he is one of the highest. He's a high variance prospect right now, but he's one of the highest ceiling guys in the system. He could be so good. Braden Davis had a huge breakout year for the Cardinals too. Yeah.
So there's a lot of interesting guys now. Yeah, take it with a pillar of salt, like all the salt in the world. But it's, I mean, still like this dude is cranky. And I mean, again, I don't know if the numbers are right, but it was like 110 miles per hour exit velocity as a 16-year-old.
Nice to see the Cardinals play at the top of the market in the international,
So Luna, I mean, you want to talk about him, whatever. None of us really know anything about him. So like,
we'll see.
It's just over there in the corner. It's fun. And then you have the Fangraphs thing, which again, the Cardinals do not have the number one farm system in baseball. Okay. And the reason the Fangraphs did is because the accumulation of mediocre talent. I'm not saying what we talked about is mediocre talent, but the Cardinals have a lot of like 35, 40 great guys. And it's like, that's great. That is helpful to have.
Fangraphs loves Blaze Jordans.
Yeah. And having a lot of those is helpful for depth, but it's not, I wouldn't count that as that wouldn't be my barometer for a top system. So see a bunch of videos about that. Who cares? But I do think the real meat of the conversation is what we've seen in totality from this farm system right now, where you do have guys like Baez took a huge step forward this year. Rodriguez breakout. J.J. Weatherholt looks like is a consensus top 5 prospect in all of baseball, and most talent evaluators are saying this guy is one of the safest prospects in baseball. So he has a high ceiling, but it's also like if this guy's not like a regular contributor and a pretty good player, that would be really surprising. And he also has the upside to be a multi-time all-star. Like you have Chase Utley comps, not the career, but like the type of player. You have Alex Bregman comps. Like it's a great player. You have Liam Doyle, who like gets the Garrett Crochet comps from Jeff Ponce type things. Again, not saying he's Crochet, but like has the kind of top end talent the Cardinals have lacked. Reinell Rodriguez, who you put up his WRC plus against 19-year-olds or younger in the minor leagues, and it's like superstars, MVPs. Like that's the list. Joshua Baez, again, was in a conversation with only Connor Griffin with the 20 plus home runs, 50 plus stolen bases. Guess who Connor Griffin is? The #1 prospect in all of baseball and being included in compared to Bobby Witt. Quinn Matthews, minor league pitcher of the year, all of baseball last year, is their 5th prospect. You have Tanner Franklin, who's throwing 100 miles an hour plus, as their 6th prospect. Takeo Roby's on the mend. Cooper Turpey's on the mend. Tink Hence is on the mend, but they're all exciting. Guys, there's names now. Are you like, does this, again, it doesn't mean any of them are going to become something special. It doesn't mean this is going to work out for them, but does the state of the Cardinals farm system give you confidence in the future right now, Sandy?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it is tough because the Cardinals actually like put together a pretty good system right around like 2021, 2022. And if you looked at the names at that point in time, you had Jordan Walker, Nolan Gorman, Tink Hence, Alec Burleson. They had at least 5 top 100 prospects at one point. Like even earlier than that, you had like Flaherty and Dakota Hudson and a couple other pitchers that had some hype come up who are all top 100 prospects on Pipeline and Baseball America. But I think this system's deeper and I think it's better. And I think there are different types of prospects. Flaherty was one of those, like he was a high variance, high ceiling pitcher. And we saw like the very best of him at times. But most of the other talent they brought up, Jordan Walker was definitely a high variance player. So was Nolan Gorman. And we've seen the bad end of that. But a lot of these other guys they brought up, whether it's even like a Brendan Donovan type who's been great, but those are like kind of safer players. You know what I mean? And it feels like there was a lot of that. The Cardinals were really interested in that type of player for a long time. And I think this system is there's a higher collection of true, like high ceiling, real star potential guys. Now, not all of them are going to do that. Probably only a couple of them are going to do that, but that's huge. And that's what you need. And so I think they're actually capable of producing that. When you think about in the last 10 years, the only like true stud bat they've graduated is probably Ivan Herrera. But I think they have the capability of graduating multiple from just the crop there right now. I think whether you're talking about Reinel or Baez or any of these other guys, like I think they're going to graduate more than just Ivan Herrera in the next few years. That gives me a lot of hope.
Yeah. I mean, you did see the overhaul of the pitching development side of things this past year.
Yes.
Player development performance in general under Rob Cerfolio. But then again, you have Matt Pierpont overseeing pitching development as well, which is a significant change. And obviously he was with Seattle. Cerfolio and Larry Day were with the Guardians. You just have a lot of fresh voices and names. Chaim Bloom, who again has just overseen 2 of the most successful, that Boston farm system that revamped itself and has a lot of really interesting hitting prospects in that system. And then also Tampa Bay Rays, who it's like, talk about farm systems. Tampa Bay is always one of the best. The Cardinals also have, especially on the pitching side, I'd say it's been a while since it's been really probably since Alex Reyes that they've had a pitching prospect like Liam Doyle around. I mean, Tink Hence is there, but it was high school arm, small frame. Like that was always a little concerning, and those concerns have really popped off. But the Cardinals just haven't had this kind of overall pitching talent, I think, in the system in a while, and also mixed with the kinds of guys that can develop them well. They are making some shifts with the hitting coordinator side of things this year and hitting development a little bit. So anticipate some shifts there, but you already saw progress from Joshua Baez. You saw Reinel Rodriguez break out. You've seen Bernal be a really interesting guy. Obviously JJ Weatherholt's there. And then again, if they trade Brendan Donovan, I'm hopeful and expected that means they're getting the Hall back. And so you're talking about good prospects. Like at this point, I would actually think they should be getting a top 100 prospect back for Brendan Donovan if Grayson Rodriguez is going in a Taylor Ward deal, which again, that he's complicated because of the injury stuff, but still. And also just if there's that many teams interested in Brendan Donovan and they all are interested not because like, oh, it'd be nice to have Brendan Donovan. Like, no, we want Brendan Donovan. Then you should be getting something in return for him. And again, you could like not as I can get you anything, but Gray, I think could get you something. Not something like flashy where you see the name come across. It's like, wow, they got that prospect, but could become something. Contreras that eats some money, I think should be pretty valuable as well. And if they don't eat money, it's easy to move that contract. He's been out playing it for a while. It's just, will he go? But I really do feel good about where the system's going right now. And I think you can supplement a little more. You're going to have a top 10 pick again this coming year and another this is supposed to be a really good draft coming up to add another player to the system, another year of Chaim Bloom's picks and Randy Flores' picks rather than the previous regimes. plus any other talent they add. And then who knows, people take steps forward. Obviously, there'll be prospects who take steps back. There'll be prospects who get injured, like this past year, right? Like we're all like, man, Quinn Matthews make the opening day roster. Yeah, like that didn't happen. Tink Hence down for the year. That didn't really happen. Takoro Roby was awesome in spring and then down for the year. So like those things happen. So you always anticipate that. But I really do feel like the Cardinals went from a like slightly below average to below average farm system in a lot of people's eyes to probably at top. I think top 10 is fair to say, like right around that top 10 mark.
I think it might even be
like
higher, 7 to 8. I would place them at like 7 to 8.
But I feel like that's that's closer to top. I mean, I guess that's kind of close to top 5, but slightly inside the top 10. Some people might say slightly out, wherever it's at. That's still,
they're good.
Yeah, I like that a lot. So, Andrew, I know that like, and again, we've all heard it before. Jordan Walker, Dylan Carlson, all these things, like they've happened before. We get it. Like, do you have any pessimism with it right now at all? I mean, again, we're all holding the grain of salt that like it could not work. It's prospects, but are you more lean on like? Do you like the state of the system right now? I guess is the question, because we can never guarantee success of it.
Yeah, I mean, it looks good from the outside, where it's just like, yeah, you have a lot of these guys that could be very solid players. I still think you're maybe lacking one or two of those guys that really could become a star, because like if Weatherholt isn't that, or if Liam Doyle's reliever risk comes through or whatever, like they're going to be solid players, but they're not necessarily going to be that impactful guy. I'm still waiting for them to bring out that one guy, because like you look at who the Cardinals star player has been, like the best homegrown player since Albert Pujols has been like Matt Carpenter. And like, yeah, he's a great player, but that's not a guy that you really should be like. I feel like all 30 teams or all 29 other teams have probably developed somebody better than that in that time span.
Most of them have. We've gone
really,
most have.
We've talked about that. Like, I don't know. You can maybe point to a couple guys or a couple teams that haven't, but like it's not great. So I'm excited for the new leadership to come in and do what they can do with this. Like, they all have the track record to do that, and they have the names in the system that, should excite. Should be exciting to us and to fans, but until I see it on the field, I'm not necessarily going to be holding my breath, just because of all the stuff that's happened, just how messed up the system has gotten. But I definitely think this is probably the best it's been in a long time, and hopefully it will actually pan out this time, and we're not going to be looking at this and wondering why we didn't trade all of it away for Juan Soto.
Yeah. But I do think that's an interesting point from Samuel here about how much of a monster team Springfield was this year. And again, team success doesn't guarantee prospect success moving forward, but it usually does have a good indicator about there's going to be some talent that come from that. Like you think of the early 2010s and when the Memphis Mafia was there, and the Springfield and Memphis Redbird teams, where you did have John Jay, Daniel Scalzo, Matt Adams, the pitching, like there's a lot of names there. And again, we just talked about the top names in the system, but there's a lot of other names. Like we didn't really get into Tanner Franklin at all, who I think is a guy that has plus stuff, especially if they can make this shift to a starter. He could be really good. Again, we did talk about Mautz a little bit, but Ishan Henderson was awesome in Double-A as well this past year.
From that Springfield team too.
Yeah, and so it's just like Yario Padilla is a high variance guy where it's like probably not going to work out, but if he does, he's got tools to be something really interesting. Again, another draft class that comes through. One of the storylines I'm going to be watching, especially come the winter meetings, is what happens in the draft lottery. Because if the Cardinals pick outside the top 6 this year, or land outside the top 6, they can get a top 10 pick again in 2027. And again, I'm not necessarily thinking the Cardinals will be that bad this year or hoping they will, but it is an interesting storyline where it's like, well, because if they pick top 6 this year, then they can't pick in the top 10 in 2027. It seems to be a loaded class. Again, it's too far out to say for sure. The 1-1, that shortstop from UCLA, I mean, if you can get to number 1, it's like, maybe you should do that. That's going to be awesome. Yeah. But this does feel like a draft where, like, if I'm picking at 7,
another shortstop? Awesome. No, man.
What will they do with Mason Wynn?
We have JJ Weatherholt. No. That's hilarious.
No.
Yeah.
Immediately, I can't wait when they draft him, and immediately it's like, are the Cardinals traded Mason Wynn? But anyways,
so fun.
Yikes. Anyways, So it will be interesting to see what happens to that. Also, long term, what will happen with the CBA? Because Samuel just put it in there, and I was again, I think Samuel's done this a couple of times tonight, predicting my thoughts here. Like CBA, you never know, but they could end up allowing draft pick trading into things, which could become a thing long term. International draft might end up becoming a thing. So instead of doing this bonus pool stuff, they might just have a draft, which could benefit the Cardinals, especially now that they're expanding their scouting department out. There's just a lot of different things that could change long term. We'll see how Bloom's regime adjusts to it, but I like what they have right now. And the thing that really excites me is like, so Bloom took over, what was it, 2019, going into 2019 for the Boston Red Sox, or going to 2020. I believe it was 2019. Anyways, they had Baseball America going into the year prior to that, had that the Boston Red Sox as the worst farm system in all baseball. And it like maybe was 28th, 29th by the time Bloom took over. By the time Bloom left, it was probably the best farm system in all baseball. And it took him about 4 years. Now, Bloom's been here for 2 years before he took over. So like he's already gotten his fingerprints on it. And he took a terrible farm system, arguably the worst in baseball, and turned it into the best without really being able to trade guys away for prospects. He could trade Mookie away, but he didn't get anything because he had attached David Price to it. Like, he might trade Donovan away for stuff. He might be able to get something for Gray. He might be able to get something for these other guys and actually rebuild instead of trying to make an ALCS of the Red Sox and rebuild the farm system at the same time like they do in Boston. If he can turn that system into a number one system, I mean, again, I'm not saying the Cardinals have the best farm system next year or 2 years from now, but this guy knows what he's doing.
It'll be good.
So
it'll be really good.
I like the base he has to start with, and I'm intrigued about the future of it. So
no, but Blaze Jordan, he's fire Bloom.
Yeah, fire.
I don't even think Blaze. I just think that I'll be shocked if he gets selected. I don't think this is going to matter. I think the conversation's not going to matter after this. He's not going to get selected.
You never know.
The Twitter stuff is weird with him specifically. It's weird.
Oh yeah, that was weird. So, anyways, again, Blaze Jordan, for listening, would love for you to be awesome, and I would love to have you on the Haircast. This is nothing against you. It's more against Cardinals Twitter and the.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, again, against Cardinals Twitter. It's just like against that take. I'm confused about that. And if he gets selected, actually good for him. Like seriously, like it'd be awesome if he gets a shot at the major league level because this is a weird spot. Like they've got Burleson, they got Contreras. I mean, Gorman could be a first base option at some point too. Like it will be difficult to find at bats, but if he hits well enough, the Cardinals will make sure he gets at bats. So
yeah. I also think this tells me that the Cardinals don't think they can trade Wilson Contreras either.
I don't know if that matters.
You think it has any bearing on that though? Like, no. I think if the Cardinals were certainly moving on from Wilson Contreras, you need more corner depth.
Well, but like that's the other part of it. People don't claim him. Is it's not hard to find a free agent to play first base.
Find Justin Turner to a minor league deal for that veteran.
Please no. That would make me so mad.
That'd be a way to torture.
What do you think the first pick that
Mason Wynn would whip it at him as hard as he could?
Yeah, every time.
So funny. Justin Turner taking like 104 off the chest would actually make me laugh. That would be funny. Mason Wynn just whips it across.
It'd be like Alejandro Kirk like running the first base and like 40 feet away, and Wynn just unloads one first base.
An absolute missile every time. Oh my gosh, that would be awesome. Could you imagine?
We should do it for the meme.
Like absolute bullets. Oh, that'd be.
Did Turner was in Boston? Was it Bloom that signed him, or was that after Bloom? I don't remember.
I think it was after, but maybe it was during. But.
Yeah, that would be maybe the best thing ever. I take it back. Please bring in Justin Turner to play first base, Cardinals. If you're listening, we all want to see it. We all want to watch Mason.
No, Jordan Walker is supposed to play first base. So
yeah, well, we're not allowed to change new positions actually. So that's not cool, man.
Anyways, so we'll see. Hey, as always, like and subscribe helps channel a ton. Seriously, if you're listening, you haven't listened before, you want more Cardinals content throughout the year, we'll keep bringing it your way. We'll have awesome guests on throughout the year. We also got this charity live stream coming up in December with Brendan Donovan, raising money for the Kauffman Fund alongside him. Bernie Miklasz will be joining us for the evening as well, which I guess we haven't announced that yet, but there you go. Shocker again. And then we've got other names we'll be excited to share soon as well. So very excited for that evening. We'll be at 314 Sports Cards Collectibles Live, so you can join us there in person. We'll be doing giveaways throughout the night, or you can watch us on the stream as well. Also, if you're on audio, remember rate and review helps us out a ton. We really appreciate it. I know we talked about doing this recently, but then we had the Rule 5 deadline, so I thought that was interesting. But I'm guessing on Sunday maybe we can talk about some trade targets and stuff too, because whether we can maybe talk about some Donovan stuff with that, or we can talk about some controllable arms they could target. I think that's an interesting conversation since we just had the free agent one. But again, always appreciate you guys supporting the podcast. Again, hit that like button, subscribe, comment down below. We appreciate the support as always, and we'll see you guys next time.